Okay, so we're going to continue with this chapter related to organizational strategy. And as we mentioned previously, in the strategic making process, we need to take into consideration, at least as the materials is recommending us, to have very clear about these 3 steps for us to formulate the right kind of strategy that can give us a good competitive position in order for us to achieve a certain level of competitiveness. Everything is going to be described and related to this process. This is going to be the practical part where you are going to use your conceptual skills, considering the managerial theory, your managerial cycle, the understanding of the environment, the industry, the market, how you can use ethics and principles for maintaining a competitive position, as well as what would be the right kind of decision-making process in your company, and how you can measure those decisions, how you can measure the level of effectiveness, efficiency, and productivity of those decisions in your company facing the challenges of the market, as well as the threats of the industry, right? So this is the step number 1. First of all, to know if we are doing the right kind of things. Should we stay in the same track for some years, or we have to make urgent changes because maybe the technology or the industry or the taste or the trends of the consumer behavior has changed, right? We need to look for potential sources of strategic dissonance. If I'm trying to do some things in my organization that is not helping me to achieve a high level of efficiency, effectiveness, and productivity, then we need to change. Remember that for you in the first step, for you to be able to understand the potential sources or the actual sources of strategic dissonance, you have to be very clear about your competitive position, right? Remember that for competitive position, we just have 2 options. Local leadership for one type of market structure, and the other one is going to be differentiation, when we're going to try to create a sense of uniqueness for our market. For low-cost leadership, efficiency is going to be the name of the game. For the other one, you have to be focused on increasing the level of consumer surplus so you can exert your market power. And I'm using the concepts that are related to the margin of profit formula. The margin of profit, which will tell us, in comparison to the average of the industry, if my company is competitive or not, right? So everything is going to be related, okay? You need to find this strategic fit. And for you, if you have some sources of strategic dissonance, meaning some decisions in your value creation process that are not giving you a high level of efficiency for a competitive position that is local leadership, those will be strategic dissonance. Conversely, for the other kind of markets, if we are making some decisions in my value creation process that doesn't allow me to exert a higher market power, that is strategic dissonance following a differentiation approach. Questions about what I just said? Do you want me to write it down? Or well, using the mental mapping? Yes or no? Okay. Strategic dissonance, right? I'm going to try to start by the sources or the cornerstone concept that we need to understand first before we get to the strategic dissonance idea, right? Remember that everything focuses on a strategy, as a strategy here, right? It's going to be focused on what? Creating, the set of choices we make, in order to what? Create value, right? For a given market to achieve a competitive position, right? In a given industry. So we know about this concept all together, but also individual, right? This is the concept of strategy that we need to understand and use for all of you to understand the concept of the classes, right? How everything is going to fit, okay? Here, this is going to be the practical part of your principles of management class, right? You will use your conceptual skills, which are the managerial theories, the managerial cycle, the level of environments, internal, specific, and external, as well as the ethics in business, for you to be able to make the right decisions. That's all. Okay? The set of decisions you make in order to create value for a given market are going to be described in the value creation process. Value creation process. This is value creation process. I'm just writing like this because I want you to ask me, and I want to know if you are taking notes. Value creation process, right? The value creation process is a set of activities in your company turning an input into a profit, right? So you take your inputs and you make a profit because you are facing the market. So the value creation process is going to be described in the activities involved in the inbound logistics, operations, outbound logistics, marketing and sales, and post-sale services. This will be your value creation process. Every activity involved in this process is being designed in your company to create value for your market. Okay? So, inbound logistics, operations, outbound logistics, marketing and sales, and post-sale services are all together part of your value creation process when you decide how to perform these kind of activities. Because you decide how to perform those activities, those are the set of choices you make. Okay? Questions about this? So far, so good? Okay, yeah.
I'm sorry, can you repeat like the first part where you said that the
set of choices creates value.
What did you say? I'm sorry.
Creates value.
Oh, create value. Okay.
For a market, for a given market, to achieve a competitive position in a given industry. And I'm just going to explain every circle here. Right? So, how you decide to perform your email logistics, maybe it's going to explain how you can achieve a better competitive position by reducing your costs or increasing your market share or increasing your market power. Those are measurements that you will find in the marginal profit formula, and everything is going to be linked. Right? Value here basically means what? To create consumer surplus, right? Which basically means the difference between the willingness to pay minus the market price. That is value. That is a value formula, right? So every decision you make in your value creation process will explain how high or low is the level of willingness to pay you are creating for your market. But if you are trying to compete in a type 1 kind of market structure, the level of willingness to pay is going to be really low. So the only way for you to increase your margin of profit is to focus all of your value creation process in efficiency. The most efficient company in that kind of market structure will win, will have a higher margin of profit. It's going to be practically impossible for you to raise your price. Okay? Conversely, if you are going to a competitive position which is focused on differentiation, then every decision you make has to help you to increase your market power. Basically, you can impose your conditions on your customer, right? These decisions have to be focused on creating willingness to pay. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Okay? And that is what you have to show in your final project, in your final presentation. The market, in this case, and for my classes, well, for this class, which is Principles of Management, will be the economic transaction between what? At least the suppliers, the organization, and the customers. Right? This is a market. If there is no transaction, there is no market. So, the market for this class will be this set of economic transactions between at least 3 elements: your suppliers, your company or your organization in this case, and the customer, right? Transaction or the economic transaction is the very essential point for every market. If there is no transaction, there is no market. If there is no transaction, there is no value creation. The value is only being created by a transaction. Yeah.
Just a quick way. It's willingness to pay minus market power.
Market price.
Market price.
Market price.
What were the 3 elements? Suppliers, organization.
Supplier, organization, and your customers or clients. right? So these economic transactions will define the market, okay? The market, right? Yeah.
Can you repeat what was CS?
Consumer surplus. Okay, remember that consumer surplus is what? If we're talking about microeconomics, we have here the interaction between a price and quantity, right? In a given market price. All of these ideas of strategy comes in a very strong way from the microeconomics, right? In a sense that this is quantity. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 units of products. Shoes, tables, or windows, or whatever, right? And because this is price, we're talking about 100 USD, 200 USD, 300 USD, 400 USD, etc., until 2,000 USD or whatever, because this is price, right? So the lower the price, the larger the demand. Yes? If something is cheaper, we tend to buy more of it, right? This is for the demand, for the consumer perspective. From the producer perspective, the more valuable is the product, the larger the supply. This is supply, this is demand. Okay? So we have here the equilibrium point, these interactions. This is the value creation for this market. Here. Here there is no value creation, and here there is no value creation, only here. Right? And the area, which is this one, is the level of consumer surplus the companies are creating in this market. But remember, this market is a traditional market, right? Where the only feature that the customer cares, in that case, is price. Basically, we're describing a type 1 kind of market, right? For some other market, we're going to be finding some other kind of interactions. No matter that the price increases, the demand is going to stay the same. Those are type 2, type 3, type 4, depends. Okay, but still, when I'm talking about value, and the difference between units of payment and micro price is how big is this area that you are creating with your value creation process. Remember, in strategy, we care about value, not products. The product is irrelevant in many cases. It's the value that the product represents for the market that is on our interest to start. Right? Willing to pay then is something that is intangible. Right? Some people will say, this is a very silly example. Some people will say, this is a very good table. I'm willing to pay 2,000 pesos for this one. Right? For some other people, it's very ugly. I'm willing to pay nothing. I don't want it. Even though you give me as a gift, I don't want it. Right? So, depending on the needs and expectations of the markets, we have different willingness to pay for the same product. It depends on the needs and expectations for the market. We need to know then the needs and expectations of the market for us to make the right decisions to design the value creation process of my company. If we are competing in a market very focused on the lower the price, the higher is the level of quantity demanded, then our value creation process must show what? Efficiency in every activity. I perform to do this kind of activity at the lower possible cost. And this one, and this one, and this one, and this one, right? Because a higher price or a higher cost is not going to be welcomed by my market in that specific example. Okay? Conversely, if we are trying to create something very differentiated, giving me market power, right? I'm going to make sure that every activity here increases the willingness to pay of my customers so I can increase my price without losing my market, meaning increasing my market power. We have cafe from Oxxo and the coffee from Starbucks. Those are kind of the same thing. Those are coffee. But you pay 20 pesos in Oxxo and 80 pesos in Starbucks. What's the difference? The willingness to pay is very, very different. Right? And the market is also very different. From Oxxo, type 1 kind of market in many cases. From Starbucks, type 2 or type 3, depending on the location. Okay? Okay, so everything has to say that, right? Then we have the market, economic transaction between suppliers, organization, and the customers. We're gonna find a market between the organization and the customer, considering this the producer, as well as we're gonna find a market between the supplier and the producer or the organization here. Right? Still, we're talking about economic transactions between these three elements. Right? Then we have your competitive position, and the competitive position is focused on what? One of them is low cost leadership, where every decision in your value creation process, in your value creation design, has to say efficiency. This is the name of the game for a competitive position, which is low cost leadership. There is no other way. There is no other way. Low cost leadership, LCL, low cost leadership, in where the most important element here is that every decision you make in your value creation process, here and here and here and here and here, must show that you are making your process much more efficient if that is your competitive position. Right? So don't use innovation here, because innovation, at least in the short term, costs money. That will reduce your margin of profit, because that will increase at least your variable, your total cost, maybe the fixed and the variable costs altogether, but it will increase your cost, at least in the short term. Okay? This is why companies such as tortillerias, they don't get into innovation, because they have a lot of pressures in terms of a type 1 kind of market, right? The other one is going to be differentiation, as we mentioned before, which is based on sense of uniqueness, that basically means what? Market power. You can increase your prices without losing your money. Okay? So, differentiation, in where the most important concept is the sense of uniqueness, which basically means you have market power. That's how we know. Is this product unique? Depends. Does this company has market power? Yes. Then there is producing something with uniqueness. If you can impose your conditions on the customer, then you're not producing something with uniqueness. You're just producing something, right? And try to get some customers for your company. Right? In a given industry, which is a set of companies producing the same kind of value for the same time. Right? Okay, so it is very important for me to tell you this, right? Because in this moment, if we are looking for strategic dissonance, we need to identify whether or not this value creation process designs is designed to fit well in this competitive position or in this competitive position, right? If every decision you make here is focused on efficiency, then you have a good strategic fit. If not, you have a strategic dissonance, right? If you are going for efficiency here and then try to create a sense of differentiation in the marketing and sales, and you are spending too much money in this process without being in the position of exerting your market power, then you have a strategic dissonance. It doesn't make sense, right? Conversely, if you are designing a value creation process pursuing a differentiation competitive position without actually giving you the possibility of increasing your price without losing your market, then you have a strategic dissonance, right? If you are going for differentiation here, every decision you make here must help you to increase your market power. If not, you are making a mistake. You are reducing your competitiveness, increasing your cost with no reason or justified reason on this. Okay? So, questions, comments, excitement for the final presentation? You have the information already available in campus, right?
When is the final?
I think it's gonna be a week before the final exam, which I think is going to be on the first week on December. Well, Monday and Wednesday. It's gonna be in the time of the class. I don't know exactly what it will be, your presentation, but it's gonna be on Monday and Wednesday. Any other question? Comment? Okay, so this is the part. Okay, now the step number 2 then is focused on conduct situational analysis. You need to know what is happening in the different levels of environment your company is involved, right? What is happening in your internal environment, your specific environment, and your macro environment. This is why we started studying those things, right? And also, what kind of managerial theories will help you to try to get the chances you're finding in this kind of environments, or to try to fix a specific issue arising for your company. This is why managerial theories are very useful. What you have to do if you have some issues with a bad employee, then you have to have the right approach, right? Maybe human relationship approach, if there is a situation of a problem of personality or whatever, or maybe it's gonna be like a scientific management approach, if there is a situation focused on lack of training, something like that, right? You pay attention about your competencies, right? Remember that the competencies are activities in your value creation process. So use it in another way. Those are specific activities. But explain different kind of things. The competencies are going to explain how you are creating value for a market given your competitive position. This one or the other one. Your core competencies will explain your competitive position the most. You achieve a lower level of cost or a higher level of efficiency because of this activity and this activity. Those are your core competencies. And the distinctive competencies will explain your competitive advantage the most. You are having a higher margin of profit than your competitors because of, I don't know, inbound logistics and operation for some reason. Okay? But don't use it in other way. Those are activities, right? And also, well, when we're talking about environmental scanning, I think that we mentioned it before, right? Yeah, we already mentioned the environmental scanning, right? And the strategic groups, okay? Just to know what is happening in your specific environment, okay? So, today we're going to talk about this step number 3, right? After you have certainty or a better understanding on what is happening in your environment on different kind of levels, you need to choose what would be your right strategic alternative according to your resources, your conceptual skills, your understanding of the environment, and also how good are you at handling risk, right? Overall speaking, and I'm just talking in general terms, risk avoiding strategies, right, is for those markets when we understand and we can forecast what will happen in that kind of industry, right? If the industry doesn't have any kind of change, it doesn't change that much, there is not much innovation there, basically the way to compete is the same kind of competition process as many years over, right? We can go for a risk avoiding strategy. Try to do the same kind of things than everyone else because we know there is a market. And the characteristics and needs of the market is very well explained. And those are very clear for you, right? Because of this, because in this situation, it's very easy to understand what will happen in your environment. Many companies, many entrepreneurs enter into this kind of markets and industries because it's easy to know how to compete. It's easy to describe what are the forces of interaction between the suppliers, the competitors, and the customers, right? It's very easy to do this. The products are very simplistic, in many cases standardized, or not very sophisticated. Those are very easy to do, or to make, sorry, right? What kind of market structure will be the most representative for a risk avoiding strategy? What kind of market structure is the most representative for a risk avoiding strategy? Type number 1, right? Perfect competition. All of them are gonna be doing the same kind of things over and over again, right? You see the tacos right now are the same kind of tacos as 100 years ago. The tortilla is the same tortilla basically as 200 years ago, I don't know, right? And those companies are just following the same kind of approach to the market than everyone else, and still they have a market. But their profitability is very low, very, very low, right? Conversely, we have these risk-seeking strategies that in many cases can give you a higher opportunity in terms of profitability because you are trying to find a way to create unique value than anyone else in the market. You are looking to try to open an opportunity for your company, right, that also represents a higher risk. For instance, if your company wants to produce, if there is a company such as the Russian company that is claiming that they are developing a vaccine for cancer, for instance, if this company actually exists on Russia, right, and they are actually producing something valuable for the market that actually is something functional, this company is investing a lot of money for something that can be a total success or a total failure. They can lose everything if they don't get it right, right? If they made it, they will earn a lot of profit, right? Because this kind of product is very, very unique, global. If they don't make it, they will lose their good name, if you want, as well as the whole investment, right? So the opportunities to win here are very high, are very important, but still the risk is also really important. So you need to know what kind of market best fits for you, right? Here you are creating something so unique that no one else is doing these kind of things right now. No one else. And you are trying to take this opportunity for your company because you are developing something very unique, right? The value of a company such as OpenAI is very important compared to other kind of companies in the technological industry because they were for years developing this new technology using artificial intelligence at the service of a very broad market, global, right? They are having a very important success right now, but they had to invest a lot of time and resources to get to this point, okay? Still, they trust in their insights, in their ideas for the future, which is now, right? So, managers should choose one of those, risk avoiding or a risk seeking strategy based on whether the company falls above or below strategic reference points. If you are able to see the future, right, maybe you can convince some other investors to invest in your idea, using something that can disrupt an industry, that can create new conditions or even creating new industries, right? Or if that information is not available for you, or maybe you don't have the right level of conceptual skills, right? Maybe you should go for a risk avoidance strategy, going for the things that are already proven formulas, right? Instead of opening a new restaurant, maybe you can hire a franchise and you know exactly what to do. Okay, so it depends, right? Yeah.
I have a question. For the project, like, is this something that we have to like is that gonna be something that you're gonna ask us or something that we have to like point out? What like which one are we avoid? I mean, which one are we choosing? Either the risk avoiding strategy or the risk seeking strategy?
That will depend on your strategic fit, on the market of your idea, on the needs of your customers for your idea, etc. You have to understand the needs of the customers, their willingness to pay, and then you have to develop everything on that case. You don't have to put it like every point specifically. You just have to show that you have the right strategic fit. Okay, try to avoid having strategic dissonance. Like I'm just gonna mention something silly. I'm gonna be selling roasted chicken for people, right? That kind of product is not differentiated. Your market is gonna be type 1 or type 2, right? So all of your decision-making process must show efficiency and a risk avoiding strategy because those industries are already well established, right? Or if you're going to be investing in something new, like creating a new technology for drinking water out of air, that is something that actually exists. Maybe you are going to go for a risk-seeking strategy because there is no other kind of products available in the market. Okay. The most important thing for you guys is to try to use the concept you know and you understand well. Don't try to use something very fancy because if you do it, I'm going to be asking you questions about it, right? Be very careful with words that appears to be very simple, such as optimization, unless you develop a very well argument in terms of optimization with formulas and whatever, right? Because optimization means something. So don't try to use it loosely. Only use it if you are certain about how to answer a question directly related to optimization, right? So just use whatever you want to do, but that you understand correctly. This is for the final project and the final presentation also. Okay? Any other question? No? So far, so good? Okay. So, in your strategic decision-making process, you will need to find a good strategic fit, as we mentioned before. Or in other words, you need to avoid all the time to have any kind of strategic dissonance. You need to have clarity with your set of decisions you make, with your value creation process, how you're going to be creating value for your market, what is your market actually, and what is going to be the best possible competitive position for your company, given all the information you have at your disposal. But also, you need to know that you will find different kind of levels of strategy according to the resources you have in your organization. So these three levels, right, are part of a growing company that is trying to achieve better results, going for diversifying their markets and their industries in terms of increasing their margin of profit, right? So I'm going to be explaining the three levels of strategy here. It's starting by here, then this one, and this one. Okay? The functional strategy, again, every strategy is a set of decisions you make. Set of decisions you make to create value for a given market, right? But at different kind of levels. At this level, you need to describe what is your value creation process, right? In the email logistics, this is your value creation process, right? In the email logistics, maybe I mentioned it before, but please remember that here what you have to include is the receiving, storaging, and distribution internally of the raw materials your company needs to produce something. So receiving, storaging, and internally distributing raw materials. That will be your inbound logistics. This is where you can use the just-in-time methodology for you to achieve a high level of efficiency, right? Looking the best bargain in the market for your suppliers, okay? Receiving, storaging, and distributing internally your raw materials, right? This is just an internal process of distribution, not external, only internal, right? In the operation, you need to describe the set of activities involved in turning your input into an output. Not value, just output, right? Here you're going to be producing something. Here you need to pay attention about your level of productivity, efficiency, and effectiveness, and internal measurements, right? Set of activities involved in turning an input into an output. Okay? In operations. Yeah. Okay? The next thing related to urban logistics is just defining your distribution channels. You're going to be distributing your product, your final products, to the hands of your customers in the market. The marketing and sales, which is also very important, how you are going to communicate the value to your customers, right? Not the product, the value that you are creating in your company, right? And the postal services, just keeping track or tracking the performance of the products in the market. Tracking the performance of your products in the market. That's it. So these kind of decisions will represent your functional strategy, the every activity involved in your value creation process. Right? So you have to define that. Okay? The next, okay, so questions about the functional strategy? No? So far so good? Okay. Now the next one is the business strategy. Right? The business strategy must describe the strategic fit between all of your activities and your competitive position. That explains your competitiveness. Right? So all of this will be the fit for this kind of business line in your company when you are turning an input into an output that explains if you are competitive, you have competitive advantage, or you are not competitive even though you can be profitable. Right? So this will be your business unit, a company that is producing something of value for a specific business line, right? But everything must fit, okay? All of those are going to be fitting into this one, and all of those into the other one, and all of those into the other one, right? You need to be very focused on explaining the strategic fit between every decision that you make, right? Then we have the corporate. In the corporate, refers to the strategy where a company decides in what industries should compete. is the level where the company must decide in what industries should compete. Right? So here you need to define if going to create a competitive position, producing tables is enough, or maybe you want to start increasing your market share to the tables industry, the chairs industry, the sport beverages industry, the computers industry, etc. Right? So the corporation will have more than one business line. This one, and this one, and this one. The corporation is going to be a company that is competing in 2 or more industries, creating a specific value for a specific business line. Right? So you are creating a specific value for this market and in this industry, as well as another specific value for this one, as well as another specific value for this one. But a company could be producing tables for colleges and glasses for old people and tacos for food industry, right? Just making a silly example, right? But it's a company competing in different kind of industries under the same corporation. Okay? So you are just increasing your business, right? Okay, so this is the corporate level of strategy. Here you need to take into consideration this very specific and important question. What business or businesses your company should be in, right? Do we need to expand our company to another kind of industries or another kind of markets in my organization or not, right? What will be the most important thing here to consider if increasing my business lines or increasing my presence in different kind of industries will contribute to increase my margin of profit in some way, reducing my costs, increasing my margin, my market power, or increasing my market share. Okay? So this is how you can make the right decisions, right? When a company goes from a business level strategy, which is just this one, right, for a corporate level of strategy, which is a company that is participating in producing tables, and computers, and flowers or whatever, right? This kind of company is related to a process of diversification, which is going to be different, right? Diversification is increasing your market, increasing your presence in different kind of industries, when you are trying to define if your company can produce a related value creation process, if your company can produce a related value creation process for 2 or more business lines, or if your company wants to participate in 2 more industries, even if it's impossible to create a joint value creation. Shall we do it again? Okay, so diversification, right? Remember that we're talking about corporate, right? Diversification is I'm producing tables, but I also am thinking about increasing my market presence with other kind of industries. So here I'm producing tables, here I'm producing shoes, and here I'm producing hamburgers or whatever, flowers, right? These 3 business units are different. Every business unit has a different value creation process. Now, in my diversification process, I need to define if I can find some convergences in the activities of every value creation process related to this business line and this other one and this other one. If I can find convergences between this business line and the other one, then I will have a related diversification. If I cannot find any convergence between every specific value creation process from one business line to the other, then I'm going to have an unrelated diversification. Remember that this one has a value creation process, right? Which is going to be different from this one, another value creation process. Producing tables and producing pizzas has a different inbound logistics, operations, etc. Right? And then if I want to start doing business in the flowers industry, then the value creation process will have a different design. Okay? If a company is producing tables and producing chairs, right, it is very likely that at least one activity in your value creation process can be shared under the same corporation, right? At least the outbound logistics, in this specific example, can be shared. So a company that is diversifying their markets by producing the tables and the chairs will have a related diversification because they can share the outbound logistics. Okay? They can use the same distribution channels, right? But if a company wants to invest their money producing tables as well as producing medicines, right? I don't think it's going to be very likely to find a shared or a convergence between this value creation process. The table we have, the table will have a specific value creation process, which is going to be very different from the production of medicines. So in that case, this kind of company is going to be it's going to have an unrelated diversification structure. Questions about this? So far, so good? Yes or no? Okay. Okay, so let me check the hour. Okay, so we have that. Right? So this information is already available in Canva, so you can download it at any moment that you want, right? So the related diversification occurs when I first move to a new industry that has important similarities, sharing the value creation process with the firm's existing industry or industries, right? And here we also will find core competencies. Okay? These core competencies will be shared for the related diversification if you are very good at doing something that you can perform in this industry as well as in the other industry. Right? For instance, if you have a very good level of or a very good design of your outbound logistics, then this could be your core competency explaining your competitive position in a related diversification strategy, because this company has a business line that share the outbound logistics in the best possible way compared to other competitors in the industry, giving me a high level of competitiveness by reducing my cost or increasing my market power or increasing my market share, which are measurements that are in my margin of profit, right? And the other one is the unrelated diversification, which is basically you are just participating in businesses or industries that are so different that basically you don't care that much about finding a convergence between different kind of value creation process. You just want to have a participation in that industry because you think that you can have a good competitive position compared to other competitors in that industry. That's it, right? Or you find it because you want to do it, or you find a good opportunity, or whatever. You just want to participate, right? Yes, questions? No? So far, so good? Okay, and finally, this is a way when you can find how you can decide whether or not you want to increase your market share by finding some new opportunities in another market, right? This is the very famous BCG, Boston Consulting Group matrix. For you to know what kind of products are worth to be maintained in your business portfolio, and what kind of other products are not that very worthy, even though you have the decision to dispose them or to maintain in your business, right? If any products in your company represent a large market share, meaning that the most important amount of customers of your company are buying from you because of these products, as well as this kind of product is having a very important growth, right? Or this trend is going to be positive in terms of growth of sales, you have a star. You can explain your competitive position mostly because of the performance of these kind of products, right? The star products will have the most important relevance in your competitive position, okay? If any product in your company has a very large market share, but the market growth is stagnant, is not growing as in the past, then you have a cash cow. This is gonna help you to maintain your level of income in your company, right? The other one, if you're having a small market share, but a very important market growth, maybe this product is something that you are trying to include in your business portfolio, but still, the level of contribution to your competitive position is still to be understood in time. And finally, you have a product that has a small market share as well as a very low market growth. Well, this kind of product is a dog. I don't like that concept a lot because I like dogs a lot, right? But in this case, if you find these kind of products, you need to decide whether or not it's worthy for you to maintain that product in your organization. Okay? This is important also to understand how relevant is for your company any individual product performing in the market, considering a diversification process of your company. Right? Questions? Yeah.
Could you provide some examples?
I don't know if I have one of these, but let's say that your company. What would be the most profitable product of Amazon right now? Amazon Prime, Kindle, Amazon, the website.
Amazon, the website.
The website. So the Amazon, the website would be this one because it's not growing that much, right? It's a large part of the market share, but level of growth is not that much because we have too much competition from Mercado Libre joining with Disney, right? And still, you can have, for instance, stars here, maybe with Kindle, because many people are buying Kindle there and buying electronic books because it's easier to carry them around and also like a much more sustainable product, right? So Amazon website here for this company and Amazon Kindle here, right? Maybe Amazon is developing the web services. What is the name of the Amazon web services? When they are like giving you cloud services, right? The cloud services are increasing their growth because there are much more people trying to get the information in the cloud rather to having them in a physical point, right? But we still need to know if this market is going to continue their growth or increase their market share because the market share is very small. Okay? And for the dog, maybe we can talk about Amazon Prime because maybe it's not growing that much. So that's how you can. Okay?